As a longtime viewer of VVork videos, you have undoubtedly noticed changes over the years. We've increased the production value since that first video back in 2013.
My name is Watrous.
It's painful to watch, I know.
To illustrate how
But again, there have been numerous changes. We've added graphics and a soundtrack. But that's not all. Late last year, did you notice when we introduced the fast cut montage? You know the one that we use to transition into the lab environment. It looks like this. Let's go to the lab. Of course you recognize that. You've seen it so many times. But did you see the Easter egg? That's right. There's been an Easter egg hiding all this time. Let's watch it again and see if you can spot it this time. Wait for it. And stop! Do you see it? What is that? What is that gizmo on Brian's laptop, you ask yourself? That's a great question. The answer is, that's a Raspberry Pi. So of course the follow-up question you're asking yourself is, why does Brian have a Raspberry Pi strapped onto his laptop? Well, the answer is because I, for the last couple of years, have been running ESXi on top of that Raspberry Pi. Now, you guys know and love ESXi server, but you're accustomed to seeing ESXi server running on Intel and AMD-based servers. But a Raspberry Pi, it ain't got no Intel or no AMD. Rather, it has an ARM processor. So what that little Raspberry Pi, I use it for anyways, is primarily to show the occasional customer what ESXi on ARM looks like in action. Now, I've only done that in a few cases, and I've held off on doing it in general because ESXi on ARM has been in development for a number of years, and it hasn't been ready until recently to be released. But that's right, it's been released to flings.vmware.com. Take a look in the YouTube descriptions down below for more information. But that's right, ESXi on ARM is now a fling. And not only does VMware have ESXi on ARM as a fling, we also, if you were watching VMworld 2020 last week, we also have something called Project Monterey, in which we run ESXi on ARM, specifically ARM's built into smart NICs. More on that later. But as you can see, I've had this ready to go, but I've never shown it to you. So let's fix that now. Let's take a closer look at ESXi on ARM and watch this boot. Okay, we got the splash screen followed by the boot screen. And wait for it, and there we go. As you can see, the various modules of the ESXi are being loaded in, and we're greeted by our familiar gray and yellow screen. As you can see down the bottom, modules are continuing to load in, and got a little bit of information up top here. Let's zoom in and take a look at that. As you can see, various info about my Raspberry Pi, including the fact that it's only got a gigabyte of memory. Now, obviously, if I wanted to do more interesting things like this, like run guest operating systems, I would want to give myself a Raspberry Pi with more memory. They certainly are available. You don't have to use a rinky-dink Raspberry Pi like I've got here. And additionally, I would want to go to download a ARM-enabled distro of Linux, perhaps Ubuntu. And of course, I would go to flings.vmware.com. How do you envision using ESXi on ARM? Let me know in the YouTube comments below. That little Raspberry Pi has been running, off and on, has been running ESXi For more information on ESXi on ARM, be sure to take a look at the late last year, we introduced a flash edit. Oh, no. That would be the refrigerator. Stop it, freezer. Have you ever noticed it? Probably not, because it is, after all, fast cut nuts. Now that we've seen ESXi on ARM booting, what would you do with it? Well, that's really up to you. For me, personally, in the 7 years since VVork first started broadcasting, ESXi on ARM, Scene 1, Take 3. This time with audio!